Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we help you see who is really pulling the strings behind the corporate curtain. And in today's video, we're going to be diving into some interesting moves by New Era Energy and Digital Incorporated, a company that seems to be making some bold financial plays. We've got some fascinating updates on their agreements and debt. So buckle up before we dive in. If you are someone who loves cutting through the corporate jargon and getting to the heart of what matters, hit that subscribe button right now. We also have a fantastic Discord community where we break down these filings even further. You can find the link in the description below. Alright, so New Era Energy and Digital Inc. has just filed a current report on Form 8K, and it has got some juicy details about their financial dealings. It looks like they are really busy making strategic moves with their money and their assets. First up, they've entered into a new material definitive agreement. What does that mean in plain English? It means they've signed a pretty big deal. Specifically on the 23rd of October of 2025, they signed a secured promissory note for a loan. This loan is a pretty hefty sum of $4 million. Now this isn't just any loan, it is secured by a deed of trust. Think of a deed of trust like a mortgage on property. This deed of trust is on certain real estate they own in Odessa, Texas and Pecos, Texas. This means if they can't pay back the loan, the lenders can take those properties. The loan also comes with standard clauses for what happens if they don't meet their obligations and what happens in case of default. The interest rate is pretty high too. It is the lesser of 18% compounded annually, or the maximum non-usurious rate allowed by law. That means they will pay a high interest rate unless it breaches state usury laws. This loan also has a pretty tight repayment deadline maturing on the 6th of December of 2025, so they need to figure out how to pay this back very quickly. It is interesting to note that this deal was reviewed and approved by the company's audit committee and their board of directors, and they also entered into a release agreement as part of this loan transaction. But that is not all, folks. The company also announced a termination of a material definitive agreement. This is where things get a little more complicated. Remember that contract for sale and purchase of liquid helium they had with AirLife Gases USA Incorporated? Well, AirLife has officially provided notice to terminate that agreement. This termination will be effective the 30th of November of 2025, unless a certain condition called the commencement date has not occurred. And here is the kicker. Because of this termination, the company is now obligated to pay AirLife a total of $2,382,255.55. This amount represents a reimbursement of a $2 million advance they received, and an additional $382,255.55, which they are calling the adjusted advance amount. They have to pay this within 5 days of that termination date, so another significant financial obligation has landed squarely on their shoulders. These agreements, the promissory note, the deed of trust, and the release agreement are filed as exhibits. You can find the promissory note as Exhibit 10.1 and the deed of trust as Exhibit 10.2. And finally here we have the signatures section. This is where the company officially signs off on the report. E. Will Great II, the Chief Executive Officer, has signed this document on the 28th of October. Now let's talk about what all of this means. New Era Energy and Digital Inc. is showing some aggressive financial activity. They're taking on a substantial loan secured by real estate, which signals a need for immediate capital. But they also have a large payment due from the termination of the Helium agreement. This looks like a company potentially juggling significant financial obligations and needing to secure funds quickly given the short repayment term for the new loan. The fact that they're borrowing so much money secured by property and simultaneously having to make a large payment due to a contract termination raises questions about their cash flow management. Are they expecting new revenue streams to cover these costs, or are they in a tight spot? The significant payment to AirLife is clearly a consequence of ending that liquid helium agreement. We need to understand why that agreement was terminated, and if the termination itself has any further implications for their business operations beyond the financial cost. For investors and observers, this is a crucial time to watch New Era Energy and Digital Inc. Their ability to manage these upcoming debt obligations and their future operational strategy will really determine their path forward. The company's direction seems to be one of rapid financial maneuvers. Let's hope they have a solid plan to execute these moves successfully. Alright, that is our decoded look at New Era Energy and Digital Incorporated's latest filings. What is your take on these financial moves and what do they signal for the company's future? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this analysis valuable, hitting that like button really helps us out, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives just like this. And as always, check out our Discord in the description for more conversations and analysis. Thanks for watching. See you next time.